I have this set.
So I have Zoom recording. I haven't started YouTube yet.
All right. So we're going live?
Yeah, unless I mean, did you?
No, live is fine. That's
Okay.
fine. I just wish I told people we're
Yeah, I
not.
didn't tell anybody myself. I've been just so busy with the eBay store.
I hear you. Yep, I hear you. I'm just gonna put this up here.
It's like I'm trying to manage my time a little bit better.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
And eBay is selling a lot faster than the other platform I was previously using. So I'm now doing daily sales with
Good for you. Good
the
job.
movies and all that. You know, out of all these hauls, not one copy of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Thought that was uh, something noteworthy. Although these were collections from uh, older couples, so it probably didn't appeal to them anyway. Okay,
All right. I'm just putting it up there.
yeah, I'm gonna get the YouTube link so that you can share it, and I'm also gonna share it to Instagram and TikTok.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll need that.
Then we'll go live. I mean, we'll be rolling when the link is ready,
Right.
but people will roll in. We'll just have that little buffer, and then we'll jump
I'm gonna set
all
up
into it.
Twitter, set up the Twitter set here, and when the link comes, I'll attach it and launch that.
Awesome.
Hmm. You're emailing that to me? Is that what you're saying?
I'm setting up the title and description
Oh,
for the YouTube
very good.
show.
All right.
So,
Oh, wait. Stand by.
yeah, I'm just a little. I was delayed with everything this week.
Don't you worry.
So,
This is great. We're doing it. So don't even sweat it. I'm glad that's, eBay's taking off for you too. That's awesome.
oh yeah, I mean, I had like $350 in bills to pay, and I'm
Sure.
like, Whatnot is not going to provide that for me. So
Right. Right.
I looked around, I found some old equipment, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to toss this up, and it sold. People bid on
Nice.
it.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I need to make those sacrifices sometimes, and especially with stuff that I'm not even using. So,
Right. 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 No, I hear you.
let's see, live on YouTube. I really, I haven't posted that much to YouTube. I did do the recent short, I think 306,
Uh-huh.
but like I said, I've been taking my time with those because they seem to do well when there's extra pictures added to what we're talking about.
Yes. I've been noticing that too. That extra efforts and touches and things that you're doing is just it makes it even exciting for me to look at. Even though I know the material, I'm like, wow, that is so cool. And then I learn things from it because you'll find that thing like Kate Chilton and Linda Burrows and about Netflix. And I was like, wow, there's the proof. There's the proof. So you're verifying everything and making it visually verified. That's huge. That makes
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I think it's something like with if people don't know the names, at least they'll see the faces of these people
Yes, face recognition.
and
They
the
don't.
association with the companies that they allegedly represent.
Yes, yes. Very powerful. Very, very cool.
Okay, we are live on YouTube, so we're
Okay.
going to be waiting for people to roll in.
Now, do you have a link for me that's going to be emailed to me and I'll pass that on?
Yes, so I am getting this.
No worries. This is great.
Yeah, right when I said that we went live, we are
That's all
live.
right. It's
So
that behind the scenes look. That's great.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm sending this to the chat.
It always reminds me of Bowling for Columbine or whatever that was, the thing with it, Trump or Cheney and Bush are getting ready for the camera. And yeah, I thought fascinating to see what's going on behind the scene and what their faces look like and what they're, you can kind of look at their thoughts. before they go on. And it was like, uh-huh, before the camera turns on, where they pretend to be a different person.
Yeah, so yeah, everybody, hello. We're here at Yissilmissil Productions. This is part 14 of our interview series with Tom Althouse. I'm Stephen Yisell, and yeah, we are waiting here. We are live. We are just waiting for a few people to roll in. Some of our regular viewers. I know we've been off by a week or so. Tom was a bit under the weather. I didn't want to put him through any more than he needed to. So I'm glad to see and hear that you've recovered. So
And the
that's really
discovery,
good to see.
thank you. And the discoveries that have happened this week are just outstanding. And a lot of these dominoes falling have been from what you discovered too, and put up visuals that were needed to be found for our library of evidence. It's just really, I'm just like, what? Like on a freight train. Okay, so, all right.
Yes, in the Zoom chat, there should be a
Oh,
link to this
Zoom
live
chat.
stream on
Oh, okay.
YouTube.
Let me get out of this one then. Hold on. What am I doing here? Let's go to Zoom. Let's go to this. Okay, waiting on that. Let's go to chat. Sorry. Let's go to chat. Okay, here we go. And then I'm got it. Looking for there it is. Perfect.
Yes, and we have a list of topics that we're going to be talking about today.
Good.
So, like, once we do get rolling, we'll be rolling. But I figure we have this little, like, maybe 10-minute or so time to let people roll in
Yeah,
since
it
we are
does.
live.
Get your coffee. Okay, so that link is copied. Hopefully that will show. And then back to other section. Here we go.
See, was running into an issue earlier with Zoom where I had a pre-scheduled show on YouTube, and like for some reason, or like we went on Zoom and we tried to connect it to that predetermined show that we like
Right,
scheduled,
right,
and it didn't use that one. It like hopped over and made a new one. So if
right,
anybody had like bookmarked that link previously, it would have been a different show. It would have looked like a different show to people. It would have
right.
just popped up out of nowhere. So now that's just what we're doing now. We're just letting Zoom run the show. It like creates the show and schedules and runs it.
Nice, nice.
So as long as we tell everybody here, our goal is to be the first Saturday of every month at 11.
Right, right.
But this past week, Saturday, we couldn't do it. So we're doing it this Saturday,
Excellent.
the
Well, this,
second week. Oh, my
like
ears
I said,
ringing.
the train's definitely rolling. It's like that discovery on Kate Chilton, Linda Burrows, and
Oh, yes, we have some interesting developments on
yeah,
those
shout out to
individuals.
Danielle, who found the that she reinstated herself after retiring. She came out of retirement right away after we had done our interviews about her. And she's putting up, Kate Chilton's putting up pictures of herself now when we said that she had taken them all down. So it's all counter activity by the top person who was that Superior Court judge and lead for Warner Brothers and Netflix. So she is just countering, trying to counter everything we do, even taking herself back out of retirement when we pointed that out why she had. So this is big. All right, Steve, take it. I'm ready.
Yeah. So my ear just rang for a second time on my left ear.
There it is. See that
But
wobble the other ear.
I've been having this happen. I've had the high pitch in this ear. I've had low pitch in this ear. So I'm not sure what that means.
That yeah,
I don't
one
think my hearing
one
is being
frequency
compromised.
one frequency is to mess up a certain muscle group, and the other frequency is to stress your body a different way and your mind. So it's incredible. They actually employ both, but that's agencies. It's unbelievable what they are able to do with the tech they have now. And everybody's catching up, though. That's the really cool thing, is that people are actually catching on to what is actually the tools in their kit, and which we were supposed to think before was just conspiracy theory. Now it's like, no, we know this is going on. We know you have the tech. You've played with your toys way too much. According as far as the agencies, yeah. Mm. And then when they goof off and show off on the phones, that's just, it's like they want attention or something. Like if you play a little game on your phone, they'll start to move the pieces around, like puzzle piece or whatever around. and like they want to be known that they're clever or they're there and they're able to do that. Right now, I think that's definitely a sign that they've lost control of the people handling things. A lot of times when you have a hierarchy, your bottom rung, if they feel like the uppers are not in control of the situation or not really giving the orders out in the coherent way, then the bottom comes up with their own ways of doing things. And that often involves bragging and out of the box thinking, they call it, which reveals the hierarchy. So it's like, the upper strata. It's just, it's amazing. So that is happening right now. And with Kate Chilton showing her irregularity, where she's like, I'm resigning officially, which takes a lot of effort and a lot of input at a high level. If you have a high income, high status, then you get together with your attorneys, you discuss it over the family, you make the decision, and that's a final decision. You retire. You don't come back a couple months later and say, I'm coming out of retirement.
Yeah,
That's
there's a bit of finality to retiring.
There
Like,
really is. And it's discussed and weighed and measured, and then you do it, and you have your party, and that's it. And she came out because the interview's happening. See, that shows that discord at the top level, and that would count for the both ones at the bottom strata that are messing around with the phones and doing all these extra things because there's no real leadership, solid leadership, cohesiveness at the top now. And they're in disarray. So all the signs are there, and we know how to read it. Those of us that have been through this grinder for so long, we become experts. Like there was what was that one blimp that was put on the air? I thought was really cool. Where it was not Matt Damon, it was DiCaprio, was shown from Great Gatsby, and he's going like, you educated my ass, and it's like, he's putting up there about how, it's like this idea we're coming at you now because you're the one that taught us how to do this now. You've taught us by putting upon us. We learned from you how to handle this now. So it's like, I like that. That's where we're at. It's wild. So now,
yeah, we have players that are getting like just anxious and waiting in the background and seeing, I guess, things developing here during our time on these interviews, and then also just with what you're saying on other shows. And it's good,
right,
and I think it's really healthy that you're going on to all these different hosts just to make sure. Because I called it like buckshot because you need to have all of it for like the
right,
reels that we're putting out because they're 1 minute and there's so many of them that they're getting all out there. They're being spread out so that if there is any shadow banning or just straight up like removal of videos, like there's still some more out there.
right.
Like
It's like
not
the rush.
everything will be scrubbed, but this is very difficult for them to remove, especially my footprint on the internet. So, I mean, that's in itself. I'm protective of that and making sure that there's no way they're going to try to scrub everything that we've done together. So
Yeah, it's
count on
like
having all of this content somewhere, somehow on some platform. Like it'll still be around way, way from now.
right.
So
Well, I watched this documentary too. The Germans were so confident in their equipment and power and might, and then when they got to Stalingrad, suddenly what happened was they were blown away because the Russians just came wave after wave, and they said they're getting stronger and stronger. That's what's happening here. They didn't know what to do with the massive stuff, like you're saying, peppering coming in, and they showed footage of that where they were coming in. The Germans were just totally disoriented, going like, how this happen? Where they come from? This kind of thing. So that's exactly what's going on with Kate Chilton, Linda Burrow, as they follow closely and have people following closely everything we put on the air. It'll look like almost zero views. They'll go like that thing that happened recently where I think it was Code Breakers did a show just on Thursday past, and she showed me. She took a screenshot of 5,200 likes. So it was 5,200 hearts on it right on the first day. And then what happened was it was reduced and shadow banned down to 30. And so it's like, but we have the proof now of 5,200 likes. And that's what's happening is they're trying everything to make it look like no one's interested, no one's following. And just like Sophia Stewart will call up, who's under Kate Chilton, and Linda Burrow also, will call up and say, the one that claims to be the mother of the Matrix, no one's going to pay attention, no one cares, no one's going to watch. The Wachowskis were told to do the same thing in their article in TMZ, owned by Warner Brothers, where they said, you're no nothing hack. Tom Althouse is a no nothing hack, famous for nothing, and we didn't jack your work. And it's like, so, and then TMZ didn't let me comment and said that I wasn't commenting, wasn't calling. It's all this game of make it look like no one's interested, no one's nothing to see here, nothing to see here, like a kid would do. And so that's what it feels like dealing with spoiled kids. Now, also we're seeing, Stephen, like you pointed out, that thing you sent me about Tom Hanks. We're just talking about that Tom
Yeah,
Hanks
he's
now
trending
getting
right now on Twitter.
a lot of publicity given to him right now. Matrix is being shown. They just gave an award to a guy from who was on sound editing for Matrix. After all these years, just got an award, 2023 award. So all this is happening with Lynn Chilton is now putting up, exec from Warner Brothers is now putting up her pictures now, because we said she didn't have pictures up. So it's like, and Linda Burrows, as you said, privatized her account. Chilton resigns, comes back. They're dancing. So now they're trying to put, you're going to see Matrix aired more and more on the air for audiences to get that saturation out there, to make it look like it's their material, just all their material, by virtue of their airing it, and it becomes associated as audience associating it's theirs. They're trying to establish that right now as one of their strategies to mainstream blast it, in order to fix that in the mind of people so they won't look at the actual evidence and just pass it off. That's one of the strategies too. But Sophia Stewart, we can say to her, no, people will watch, love it or hate it, they will watch the Immortals, especially when it's made, because they'll want to see if it has the matchups, and that's what I'm told too, on the good side, that people will come. They'll come. Make it, they'll come. They'll want to see how it ties together. You'll never see it with the original ripped off work. So, but yeah, there's a lot of discoveries going on that I'm absolutely just blown away with, where we found, where the Immortals is actually, hey, yeah, Immortals is actually like copyrighted by Warner Brothers, right? Given to Tom Hanks, as we showed. But that fits why Sophia Stewart, in her case that she lost in 2005, entered in an FBI report. Right, Stephen? An FBI report was entered in, and it had the title scratched out, blacked out. Sophia Stewart blacked out the title, and it said something like, the FBI's report said such and such script blacked out was used on the set of Matrix. That was the Immortals title, and how we know it's the Immortals title and why Sophia Stewart blacked it out, a title. If it said Third Eye, she would have showed that. But she blacked out the Immortals on the FBI report, because the Immortals is what Warner Brothers copyrighted, the title they copyrighted. So they were trying to set up, Stephen, that they could use the Immortals on set because they had a copyright under Tom Hanks and Wendy Washington and all these other players in the copyright office on the title after mine. See? So it's like, how stupid can you be? But that's why we know that blacked out title was the Immortals. And the reason Sophia Stewart blacked it out wasn't Third Eye. So she blacked it out to try to enter it as evidence to say, look, my script was used, she says, because the FBI has a report that this script, blacked out, was used on set. It's the Immortals. That's what they copyrighted, and that's why the 20-foot rule. I'm just blown away how it's all coming together now. It's just like, I'm just like, wow. It's like with Warner Brothers attorneys both going, that were at my deposition, both going to Netflix when the case was thrown, and all the defendants doing their work through Netflix after having all the authors' notes, screenplays, drafts, hearing me discuss what they meant. And you see Joel Silver even switch from robots in the program to robot-like agents in Oblivion, first, allowing Disney waiting in the wings for the case to be thrown to rip off the work finally, which was
Oh, so you're saying they corrected the portrayal of your story a second
yeah,
time through Oblivion.
through
The,
Oblivion.
the
Yeah,
first time being the Matrix with the agents.
that's right.
That
So
makes
that's what's
sense.
going on. Is what we have is Disney. Well, actually, Joel Silver, when he first argued it, he said it's robots in the program, right? Robots in the program. And here it is right here on this very page. Let's open up the copyright screenplay from the Copyright Office, and you'll see robot-like agents. Okay, so it's robot-like agents, and I'll point to it right here so nobody knows where they. Yeah, right here, right there. Robot-like agents is what Joel Silver got wrong. See, the stakes are lower if it's robots in the program. Who cares about the feelings of robots often? But if it's actual people in the program that aren't allowed to act robot-like because they're not allowed to show feelings or they're killed, now we can put ourselves in those people's shoes, those agents, that if they show feelings, they're killed. And our mind goes, what would that be like? How would we survive that? That's why the stakes are higher if you put real people. Now, when Joel Silver heard me mock that and talk about that in my depositions and things as a defendant, when the case is being thrown, he realized, wait, it makes much more sense to have robot-like people. So he put Tom Cruise in Oblivion as robot-like agent, and the identical figures facing off, and him pointing to the daddy at the end, the restored figure at the end. And that's exactly how our ending is. You have the little girl pointing to the sun right here at the very end. So the little girl points.
Yeah, hold that up a little closer. I want to see that.
I'm having trouble turning the script because I don't want to rip it. Hold on.
Yeah, that's all good.
Right there, right there. Okay, I'm going to point to it. Hold on. So hold on, right here. There it is. So right here, points at the end. And then you go to black. See that? It's right there. And what are the
Yo, okay, anyone watching, what does the end of Matrix Revolutions turn out to be? It's looking at the sun and then going to black.
That's right. And what happens in the end of the screenplay right there? The world is restored with a pulse wave coming out with the identical figures facing off, and the world's renewed, and there's the sun. The sun is now in the sky again, where it was red and gloomy and dark and everything. I guess Revelations.
And now, is this the newer copy of your copywritten script?
This is the newer one. This is the one where they took in the Copyright Office. Remember when they have Tom Hanks?
Yeah, but I meaning, is that the recent one that you requested?
Yes,
like the fresher copy.
Yes, the fresher copy. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I noticed that there's not as many tabs, but that's because the other script, you have two of them, but it's the same script. Right. You just have
this one that's no tabs.
Yeah,
one has no tabs. That's the newer one, and I had to fight for that one. They weren't going to give it to me. Like, remember when I paid for it and they wouldn't even give it to me? I got the receipt, but they wouldn't give it to me. So there was Kate Chilton in that one too, trying to cover all our bases, And so yeah, but there's the identical figures at the end, and the Wachowskis said on set that they wanted to keep the same ending: little girl restored to life, Earth grinning from the the wave wall flames coming out of the crater, and renewing the Earth. The little girl pointing at the end. It's like all there, right? And that's what the Wachowskis said on set. They wanted to keep the same ending. It made no sense when you take it out of context, but they all.
Yeah. That last line that you have in there, it says she points to Christ.
Right.
That's the way that Neo died in that movie. They gave him a cross as an energy, like blast.
That's right. Well, they gave him a cross, a gold cross in his chest with his arms out in the crucifix position.
Yeah.
That was to mock Christianity. That was to mock Christianity because they keep in mind at the galas, they were doing these galas when it first was released. They weren't shy. They were doing all these interviews and bragging with Joel Silver there. And what happened was, I have a transcript. I'll have to show you with the library evidence, the transcript of a meeting, a gala. And the last question that was asked was, we see Christianity throughout the work. Was that your intention for Christianity? And you see Larry on the transcript, you'll read him go like this. I think that's all the time we have for questions. After that, they didn't want to do interviews anymore. So it was Christianity that made them stop, because they were, and Joel Silver did an article afterwards trying to cover it, saying the boys are embarrassed to talk about what it means. Interesting, because they didn't want that brought in.
Yeah, and then Joel Silver, he ended up covering for them from then on, saying that they're just shy. They don't do interviews and all that.
Right. That's right. Now, keep in mind also that Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow made sure that Joel Silver, there's no discovery on Joel Silver. There was no depositions, anything, right? And this time around, there will be. I want 7 hours, which is all right, of videoed deposition of Joel Silver that we're going to air publicly. That's all right. Watch that. He will dodge, duck, deny. Kate Chilton will come back on board. That's why she's being reinstated. She knows we're coming forward. So she had to come out of retirement to block this. No one else would want this job because the evidence too preponderous against them. So what's going to happen is, and they said on tape, they know that we have on tape, them saying they have no working drafts. They have no evidence, Stephen, right? And those listening. So it's like they have nothing. So they have to bring Kate Chilton out of mothballs now and make her situated to try to block this. Well, first of all, we're not going to go through the California courts. So it's a waste of time for Kate Chilton to be, positioned through Warner Brothers exec, to Netflix to rip it off for Joel Silver again with Altered Carbon and Oblivion, and then to go to Superior Court to be a judge to block any action we have. The trail is too obvious with the timeline and dates, what she's doing. And for her to come back, she's counting on pushing that our real court case, the one where we have legitimate due process, is going to be in California court. No, it will not, Kate Chilton. We will not do it in California court. We recluse that because you have all the judges bought. You're a judge there yourself. Not doing it. It's going to be somewhere else. We won't tell you where. So
I'll give you a
that's
hint. It won't be Illinois.
exactly. Exactly. And we will have due process. One of the things we're going to do is enter in the filing. We're going to enter in that there cannot be a summary judgment because here are the triable issues. We're going to establish in the brief ahead of time without a supplied attorney what the triable issues are. So there's a moot point to ask for MSJ. There's going to be a moot point to even move on a summary judgment because no judge in their right mind, or even no matter how much they're paid, is going to do a summary judgment on when the points are made that are tribal issues in the first brief. Those tribal issues. They're going to have to address those tribal issues and say that Jacks the Neck don't exist in the script, as Kate Chilton and Linda Burrows tried in the beginning. See that? So it's like there's no way they're going to get an MSJ. So Kate Chilton's opportunities are starting to condense. She's not that smart. She uses illegal means along with Linda Burrows and the supplied attorney Tony Rankin, to try to get around everything. But they're not that smart when they're not able to do the cheating system. When they have to do it the right way, due process, they're out of their ballpark. They're out of their game field. They don't know how to do this. They only know how to cheat. So now that we're bringing it forward and ironcladding it, and we will not be doing it in California, as I said, they got a problem. So the reinstitution of Kate Chilton is going to be worthless. In fact, I hope they put Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow back on the job. They won't. What they're going to do is probably bring in the other firm that was attached. They called them the clown firm, the transgender firm, and that there was another firm ready to go. Well, bring them on. Bring them on, and let's reveal them. Also, Pete Rose, their expert witness, who was paid $60,000 for writing a page and a half. Could you imagine being paid $60,000 an hour and charging people? It's extortion.
Say Pete Rose?
No, Dr. Rose.
Oh, okay. I was like the baseball player?
Dr. Rose from Princeton University, who is the call-in schmuck that's brought in to have an easy life of getting filthy rich by destroying real authors' lives. And so he's paid $60,000 an hour to write nonsense, right? Nothingness. And they enter it in as an expert witness. And so that's amazing. I want to call him on the carpet too, because I want to help other writers out and their families with this schmuck, Dr. Rose. Again, a guy who just had an easy ticket. Look at the easy ticket. Could you imagine that all you got to do is write something about someone, a page and a half, just putting them down, and you get $60,000 for it, Stephen. $60,000. Guaranteed. Extorted.
Sadly, that's a lot. That happens a lot more often than people think.
That's right. So do you think Dr. Rose has any semblance of morality, any semblance of compassion, any semblance of humanity in him? It's like we definitely are the Nazi regime, and we still have these guys like Dr. Rose, who's a Nazi. So yeah,
they brought the Third Reich into the U.S. after the Second World War.
Pat Robertson.
That's how we got to the moon.
The agencies are now releasing
the story, the narrative, but like they brought the actual soul,
yes, Dr. Brown, yeah, they all
Third Reich into the U.S.
Yes,
that's a whole different.
Yeah, but there's
thing.
an important point that goes with it. There's more than the rocket program. They also brought in the agencies, those that man the agencies. They also brought
that too.
Pat Robertson drew his staff, his top staff, from ex-Nazis and their new families. So that's what you're getting, is that we now know the agencies are releasing the documentation and doing documentaries on it, Hunting Hitler, that are released now, popular, where they're covering their tracks by saying, look, we're discovering all this stuff we had from the agencies. They're having agents reveal it to be popular. Well, they knew exactly where Hitler was, that he went to Berchtesgaden, as I said, that the screenplay got it right, that he went to South America. Yeah, on the submarines. And he went there, and there was all 60 submarines that went. And they supplied them and everything, and all the top staff went there. And we know the Catholic Church, that the Pope actually absolved them at a church in Italy and gave them baptisms that actually cleansed them of their sins instantly. Get out of jail free card, pop. And then they were given new documentation through the Red Cross, which the Pentagon controlled, So the Red Cross gave them new documentation. How about that? And any wonder that I was hired by the Red Cross on Maui when I was invited by the Disney contingency to Maui, right? When I was being handled so that I would not claim
Yeah, I was
rules.
gonna say they're keeping an eye on you.
That's right. Keep your enemies close, or those you want to rip off. So what we're looking at is, yes, the Nazis control it, but I'm just letting Kate Chilton know, since they watch so closely, we're not going to go to California. We're not going. We'll fight tooth and nail not to be there, and we'll explain how it was fraud, and you have those people in your pocket. There's no way we're going to go to California.
Was it the Ninth Circuit Court that they
Ninth Circuit,
put?
yeah, Western Division, Ninth Circuit. There's no way we're touching it. And the Ninth Circuit has a rule, that inverse ratio rule, that if you show direct access, then it's assumed the work was stolen. Well, you know what? What's better direct access than the actual author's, attorney submitting the work and has the tracking number, receipt, submission letter, and everything? Is it any wonder Kate Chilton and Linda Burrows had this supplanted attorney, Tony Rankin, who was not licensed to practice law, right? That he would block the actual attorney from testifying, and claim that he spoke to him. And right here, that he spoke to him. Here's the I'm ineligible to practice law. So not eligible to practice law. Tony Rankin, classmates of Berkeley University with Linda Burrow, right? Under the direction of Kate Chilton.
That's a very important point to reiterate. Linda Burrow and Anthony Rankin were classmates.
By his own words, he said that Linda Burrow was his classmate. And
I don't have my soundboard yet, but I hear a lot of these interviewers, like, they're doing these sound effects every time, like a bombshell piece of information.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those.
Well, here's another.
Rankin and Chilton.
Yeah. Both University of Berkeley. And the handoff guy, Ralph Rios and Associates, Ralph Rios, also alumni University of Berkeley, who was sent to me by Frank Ayala, who was a court copy center guy, right, in the court records office, who contacted me and told me I need to go to Rios. Who does he work for? He's endorsed on his LinkedIn by Warner Brothers firm for litigation support. So you have all this tight web. See, so that's why, Kate Chilton, you don't stand a chance when we come forward. You should just retire again. We're not stupid, and we're coming strong, and we're going to sue you, your family, Linda Burrows, Ralph Rios, Victor Sokol, Tony Rankin, Joel Silver, the Wachowskis, Stewart. But Joel Silver will have a deposition. We're going to order it immediately. We're not going to give you any discovery until that is honored. Joel Silver's deposition for 7 hours on the camera, which you have pointed out to us we should do by your early retirement, and showing us with a Sophia Stewart payoff letter that you were totally in this from the beginning with Disney. So we're coming for you, Kate Chilton, and Joel Silver will have a deposition. It will not be the California court. So come out of retirement. Put your pictures up. You will be sued, and you'll be revealed throughout time for the crook you are, the worst crook in the world, Kate Chilton. Superior Court judge. This should blackmark and point people to how corrupt the Hollywood courts are, that they'd have a scumbag like Kate Chilton as a judge.
I'm going to reiterate this. Kate Chilton, for the past 30 years or so, was litigation attorney for Warner Brothers, and now she's a part of the U.S. government of the Superior Court of the state of California.
And did you catch that thing where they were going to have elections, right?
They were supposed to have elections for Kate Chilton's position, and then they suspended the elections, and then Newsom appointed her.
Yeah, they made sure she was in place.
These are facts.
Which means Newsom is part of the conspiracy to rip that.
Of course. Of course. He's one of the biggest stooges on the stage right now.
And was it not Chilton that was bragging about what we were worth? Saying about the 500 million at first, now 1.2 billion. Bragging about it. Linda Burrow bragging about getting away.
Warner Brothers really fumbled the whole Matrix franchise, honestly.
And we're not going to drop it. We're not going to fail this ball. So first, it's educate the public, and they could shadow ban us all as one. We know that 5,200 likes what's happening in this very day that the things were airing, and then they would shadow ban it down to 30. We know this, and we got the proof now. So with that proof, there is no way they're getting out of this, and we're going to reveal everything. I'm going to show you a picture of this right now. just so we establish that there's no way they're getting away. Here, was this it? Here it is right here. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to show you right here on my phone. There's a little tiny thing, 5,200 likes when it first came out. The same day. It's
Here,
right.
show centered in front of
Hold
the
on,
camera
hold
a
on.
little more.
Get up here.
It was blurry. I believe you though.
See the 5,000?
5.2K. Yeah.
That was reduced to 30. We got the screenshot. That's the same day it went up on Thursday. So
5.2K likes and then it dropped down to 300.
just think of all the Warner Brothers people that are watching closely that are assigned, including Kate Chilton. Hi, Kate. Hi, Kate. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, the
We
real
for
like
you.
view counts of things and likes and everything are so skewed. I don't trust the
Oh, and you're
validity
right.
of any of it.
Oh,
I've
no, we
seen
got proof.
like view counts drop. I've seen views get added days later
We got the proof.
on
And
my own channel.
I got
Like,
the proof too. We got the proof right there. And I want to say to the agents that are watching too, since I'm told they do follow closely, and then some of them will actually tell me they're fans of the work often, and whether that they watch the programs. So I want to tell the agents watching, you should not be coupled with Kate Chilton, Linda Bros, and the goons out in Hollywood. Why not work with the actual writers and their families? Help them and do your job where the FBI is supposed to protect the rights of writers. That's your job.
who's in charge of the writers union, the guilds? Like, who's in charge of all that
I'm
stuff?
sure they have that checked and covered for too, just like they do the man in
Yeah,
Congress.
like why would they put up that whole charade of going on strike for months on end and possibly making a black hole of nothingness for
I think they're
Hollywood for
trying to
months?
draw attention away from what's going on. Now, Kate Chilton's move of coming back out of retirement, and we know is a direct response to the interviews, because we're addressing her. How much are we addressing her right here? So what she's trying to do is make a like, I'm coming back. She's doing this to try to make it look like I got everything in order. I've got checkmate on the chessboard, as Disney calls it. There's nothing you can do. I'm back because we got you now. We're situated. No, you don't. We're situated, and we are ready for the fight. So yeah, absolutely.
Just
Now it's
showing the comment section here. Hi,
nice.
Connie. Just
Hi,
wanted to.
Connie. Yay. So that's what's wild is you look at Joel Silver, right? Think of it this way too. Disney stayed out of it, kept themselves their nose clean by staying back until the case is thrown. As soon as the case is thrown illegally, they give Joel Silver oblivion. Think of this. When the case is done. So it's when it's safe, the guy's destroyed, they threw his case, no due process, as Kate Chilton said on that tape, or Linda Burrows said on the tape. We have no working drafts. It's a moot point to ask for discovery. Well, it should have been called on the carpet right there by the attorney. But Tony Rankin was, quote, in their pocket, Linda Burrows said. And he says, I'll write a letter to agree and disagree. And then choose me out saying we're going to lose. They just said they have no working drafts and nothing in the matrix, which is huge, right? And they said that it's a moot point to ask for discovery. They're not going to honor due process, which is default. So how are we losing? And it's the same guy that then said that he called James Boyd, the submitting attorney, and that he had nothing. I called James Boyd and said not to call him. I called him, he had everything, and said it's a tracking number receipt and everything like that. Now, Disney is waiting in the wings until the case is thrown. As soon as the case is thrown, Michael Eisner has Joel Silver contacted and goes, here's oblivion for you. We held it only for you, the article says. They held it only for Joel Silver. Interesting. And Joel Silver takes it and says, which was dumb, we don't need to finish the novel now. We don't need to finish the novel, Oblivion, because we don't need that source material anymore. That's what he's implying. We don't need the source
It's a
material.
repetitious pattern
That's right.
of
Exactly.
the Matrix having a graphic novel allegedly, and
Like
then
Ghost in the Shell writer getting it in 1994, Ghost in the Shell from 1980s, getting the material in 1994 to do those sketch graphics that went on tour in art galleries. That's exactly it. So Joel Silver can say it comes from Ghost in the Shell. And what did Rankin do, that supplied attorney with a suspended license? What did Tony Rankin do? Tony Rankin says that, first of all, right away, he goes, we have to watch Ghost in the Shell. He couldn't wait to say, we got to watch Ghost in the Shell, because he's trying to throw the case right away, right? But the thing is, Ghost in the Shell, the entries were done in 1994. We submitted in 93. So it makes sense that Joel Silver then says he bought it with spec money and gave it to Ghost in the Shell to render diagrams.
and you had no idea about Ghost in the Shell at the time.
I had no idea. I had no idea. So Oblivion is given to Joel Silver from Disney. As soon as the case is thrown, Joel Silver puts robot-like agents in the program. Has the stadium that the Wachowskis wanted that couldn't be used because we have the stadium in the Immortals. Has the little girl pointing this to the daddy or whatever, at the end after the Earth is renewed. They have the identical figures facing off at the end also, right before that, exactly in order as ours. So Joel Silver's doing his take on the work after seeing all the author's notes, scripts, heard the author explaining everything about it, the original author, myself, and couldn't wait to steal again as soon as the case is thrown. In 2014 is when Wachowski's announced also we're going forward with Sense8 with Netflix, and it's too big to write down. Too big to write down. And he said, we got $1 million deal with Netflix. So Disney right away gives Oblivion to Joel Silver, holding it for him until the case is thrown. Netflix is ready gives $1 million deal to the Wachowskis to do Sense8, which is all about people with feelings, feeling other people's thoughts and feelings and getting information from it, which is the Immortals. Then you have Joel Silver going to Netflix too to do Altered Carbon, where he says the greatest sci-fi concept ever has been the rich in the future have immortality. The poor is used as pawns. Let's hold it up again. They hate when I do. Kate Chilton, this one's for you. Here's the thing that's going to sink you and your family right there. And in this is the rich in the future have immortality. The poor is used as pawns. So what Joel Silver called mundane, and they paid the judge to say mundane, laissez-faire, they call now the greatest sci-fi concept when it's at Netflix. And one more point, again, let's establish. When Joel Silver goes to Netflix, when the Wachowskis go to Netflix with $1 million deal, that happens because why? Because as soon as the case is thrown, Linda Burrow and Kate Chilton aren't idle. As soon as it's thrown, they leave Warner Brothers and get positions at Netflix to offer the deal to the defendants that they defended to have $1 million waiting for them to steal the work again with impunity. So the attorneys went to Netflix and became litigation content attorneys, top ones, to make sure they could steal again the work through Netflix. Isn't that something? That they actually sent them there and then broker the deal for the... Think of it. The defense attorneys...
Yeah, the series of events, if them being sent to Netflix and then the Wachowski getting a deal at
$1 million
Netflix.
Deal. Without having to write a word down. Without writing a word down. Could you imagine going to a pitch session and showing nothing? Remember what you showed about
you
Will
get
Smith?
Laughed out of any other pitch session.
What did Will Smith do when the Wachowskis came to them without a script, right? Said, how would you like to be Neo? That's a big offer, right?
Yeah, we had that clip.
That's right.
Watch the last part that we... Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing it up, it's very important. The reason I'm bringing it up is Will Smith said they had nothing written down. They're just talking about, you got this multi-camera like you showed so great.
They were only talking about what they thought was cool, and even just technologically, like from a technological standpoint.
Right.
Now there's something else that could have happened with them too. The guy that did the storyboards, not the graphic novel, but the guy who did the storyboards is pretty much the look that they used for the final film. And it's like they just stole from every which way they could, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what was in our head. How can you say that what an artist drew is exactly what was in your mind? Like, they're that great of communicators. They've already proven that they're poor communicators. So how could they have talked to an artist to get exactly with all the cables running through the ships and all that? That's a different artist's idea that the Wachowskis are taking credit for, saying, yes, that's exactly what we had in our head.
The art direction that I suggested was from Blade Runner. They say they drew from Blade Runner. The things they drew up was from Blade Runner. And let me take you right back to something, though. The Wachowskis, this is important. The Wachowskis in Sense8 said it was too big to write down. And the Warner Brothers attorneys get them right in without writing anything down. The Wachowskis showed Will Smith no script. They didn't write anything down. They had our script. That's why 20-foot rule. The Wachowskis, now with Linda Burrow confessing on tape when Rankin, the attorney, the one with the suspended license who got no brain, gave us the wrong tape recorder back at my deposition with all them on it, and saying there are no working drafts for The Matrix. It's a moot point to ask for discovery. So Linda Burrow's trying to do a cheap shot and say you can't have discovery because there's no working drafts. She just confessed on the tape that she didn't realize her cohort was going to give the wrong tape recorder back. Now we have that audio. So we have established there's no script, there's no script, there's no script. Wachowski's too lazy to write anything down. They're simply giving all this money given to him, all this position by the attorneys railroading it through the way they want to. And that's how it's, by controlling the game that they don't have to write anything down. Excuse me.
Oh, God bless
So
you.
it's like they're able to get away with this. The point is there's no working drafts. Nothing's written down. Could you imagine being the Wachowskis and you get to write nothing down? Remember, they said they failed as writers in 1995 because another writer had to be brought in for Assassins. And they were really mad about that because they failed as writers. They said in the article they failed as writers, would have to pack their bags and leave Hollywood.
So Assassin's got a wide distribution too, right?
Yes.
Like a theater run and everything.
Yeah, but the thing is they brought another writer in to do it. Here's my point.
To fix their mistakes.
Right. Here's the point, though. They can't write. So what does Linda Burrows do in Disney and Netflix with Linda Burrows and Jake Chilton there? Both, they make it so the Wachowskis don't have to write. All they're needed for is to claim the work and be a face for the work to claim it.
And then let somebody else breathe life into it.
And that's why Sophia Stewart was hired by Kate Chilton. Sophia Stewart is a failed writer too. She's never even written a screenplay. So she has 33 pages of a third eye, which is Star Wars and the Bible. So
which has nothing to do with the Matrix story at all, or the Immortals story.
That's right. So
hers is made up too.
So she doesn't have to write anything. She's another failed writer that gets all the red carpet treatment from.
Yeah, the Wachowskis made so what else have they attached their names to? Like Speed Racer seems like that's something like they didn't put their heads together for.
I'm sorry, I'm still sick. You can tell I'm fighting the cold.
No, you've been good. No, your voice is clear. It was like you were a lot worse before.
Yeah,
like you're. I actually have some footage I want to show.
Well,
but we'll get to that in a little bit about the weather yesterday.
But V for Vendetta, Kate Chilton, remember that humanitarian awards? We just made Danielle, the one who's helping us with research, did an amazing discovery. I want to point this out right now. Why was the Wachowskis given the humanitarian award for my work? Why were they given an award for my work, the humanitarian award specifically, right? Because Linda Burrows, is it Kate Chilton's? I think it's Kate Chilton's husband works with the humanitarian awards. So think what happened here. She used her husband to make sure the Wachowskis, Larry Wachowski specifically, gets humanitarian work for the ripped off work. So not only does she orchestrate through Netflix, going there to be hired there, get in there to make sure Larry Wachowski can get $1 million contract to launder through Netflix after the case is thrown with all the authors, they want to do their takes on the work. Now the author's destroyed. They also give them the humanitarian award through her own husband, right? That's pretty amazing. Look at that. So that's where also you have the announcer going, now I want to give you, the writer, the genius behind Speed Racer, The Matrix, V for Vendetta, Cloud Atlas.
Man, you got a really good announcer voice, Tom.
I used to announce.
That's awesome.
So they go, even with the cold, they go, now, Larry Wachowski. Larry Wachowski comes up, and what does he do? What does Larry do when he comes to the microphone again? He comes up at the humanitarian awards, and he goes like this. How come nobody ever speaks about Bound?
Yeah, I remember watching that.
He's complaining about that.
Out of all the accolades he was just given, he still is complaining that nobody is recognizing probably one of the only original works he has, which is Bound.
That's
which is about lesbian lovers.
That's why he's saying it, the one he had the most input in, right? Where he put my grandmother's name as the lead role, as representing him. So you've got that going on where he's complaining when they just announced him. You don't go up to the microphone. That's uncouth. You don't go up to the microphone after a big announcement and say, why wasn't this done? He's that pissed. He's that angry about it. Because he doesn't like
instead of greeting the audience.
Yeah. He was upset.
Nobody wants to talk about Bound. Yeah.
He mocked Matrix on set. He mocked it on set while it was being made. And he disappeared from the set of Matrix 2 and 3. He went to San Francisco with his dominatrix girlfriend while he's married, still married, because he didn't want to be around the Matrix set because he was angry at Tom Althouse. He's what the insider said. Because he's always holding my script up. He can't get away with it. He's holding my script up on set with a 30-foot rule. He's addressing my work all the time. People are arguing with him about why not change this, change that. And he's saying, we're going to keep it the way it is. But his ego is so hurt and bruised by having to work the original author's work on set that he leaves the set and isn't on set during filming. He's with his girlfriend, consoling himself with sex with her. Girlfriend, not a guy, girlfriend. He's not a woman, like you discovered. He's listed himself as straight. He's still a guy seeking women. That's something. So what you have is he wasn't even on set. He disappeared. It's something. So, and that's what
It makes a lot more sense now with how they don't really do Q&As. I mean, let's go over what you said again. Larry, the whole time he was on that set, he knew that he was holding your script, Tom.
It was in his hands.
And instead of letting that like get to him, he just chose to forget about it and not even be on set.
That's right.
Like, oh man, like Andy will take care of everything. Right?
Yep, that's why. That's it. And then in Matrix 4,
and he can just sit there and look tough, look hard.
Yeah, that's what he did. That's what he did. To the gum, get in his shorts and sit there behind the camera and act like he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, they actually ignored them basically on set. They only called him in for specific moments. And because they had to make it look like they were actually doing it. They took photo shots. But the people on set said that they weren't even calling the shots at all. It was
I bet you that crew had their own hierarchy and that they just, like you said, just completely ignored the Wachowskis. They're like, we're the ones making this movie. Exactly. So we need to work together in order to be successful. And these Wachowski brothers are not going to do it. You know, so just when they're here, just pretend like they're the directors, but we're really making this, even though we're not getting full credit for it. Like I can see that happening with the crew.
That's so important because one of the clues we have right away that you just brought me to was that did the Wachowskis get their pick for who they wanted Neo to be? No.
No.
You know why? Because the suits said Keanu Reeves was going to do it. It was the suits at Warner Brothers said Keanu Reeves because they said specifically, we're going to save his career. You don't have a choice. He's going to be the lead. So if the Wachowskis had this autonomy, why couldn't they pick their lead guy? Why were the suits at Warner Brothers telling them who's going to be in charge and who's going to run who's going to be the lead guy? So when people ask about Keanu Reeves being good or not, Keanu Reeves was part of the suits. He was brought in as one of the major parts of the theft, and he knew exactly what was going on. You know, in fact, yeah, his best friend, one of his friends, was one of the ones that our contact spoke through to talk to Keanu Reeves, and they relayed back to us that Keanu Reeves freaked out when he heard the title Immortals. Now, why would he freak out when he heard Immortals? We saw copyright for Tom Hanks and Kate Woody Wallstein and others under the Immortals title. He's freaked out because they were mentioning Tom Althouse and the Immortals. He freaked out. So what's interesting is Keanu Reeves is very much in the bad side of this, but he has a choice where he could do the good thing. If he wants to be the hero in real life in the story, then be the real life Neo and help the actual author. Stop this. The schmucks have screwed up enough. And that's what I'm saying to the agencies. Linda Burrow and Chilton have blown it so badly with their bragging and the way they picked the wrong people. Even putting Elon Musk in power to claim the tech, the Neuralink, is stupid. And changing the law, it was Kate Chilton behind the change of the law for trademark, where it would now be, or patenting, where it wouldn't be any longer the actual author. I'm going to hold up again. The actual author getting credit for the work, publishing it, the tech. It's going to be who spikes it at the patent office first. And that was done in 2013, the same time the payoff letter is written between Kate Chilton and Stewart, where Kate Chilton says, we no longer need you. We're not going to pay you the $5 to $7 million we told you we'd give you if Tom Althouse was handled.
I have a few questions for you.
Yeah. It's a bombshell, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. No, it's great. I love hearing you talk, though.
And I'm glad Kate Chilton's watching, because I was told she does. And what's going to be interesting? We do keep questions coming.
We'll get to the question. I promise you. I'm just trying to keep this flowing so that we don't jump around.
Saying I don't want to cut you off your questions, but what I want to add right here before the questions is this. I'm interested to see what Kate Chilton's move will be after seeing this interview. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking forward to. Now, because I just said that, I predict she'll do nothing. I predict she'll keep herself reactivated out of retirement and do nothing because she's that small-minded and obstinate. She'll want to do nothing. Now that I said that, she'll want to do something. They're like puppets on a string. Kate Chilton, you got the mind of a moron, and you're so easy to play. And we're gonna, now that we'll have due process, we hold the strings, and we'll have you dancing, baby. We'll have you dancing. And we will have the deposition with Joel Silver, where it'll be on camera for 7 hours, and it'll be shown to the whole public. Joel Silver, just so you know, Kate Chilton can't stop that. Can you, Kate, baby? Or your husband, who controls the humanitarian awards, who works for the LA Times. You're not going to stop it.
Tom
Challenge is on. Go
Tom
ahead.
is overdue with due process, and
Mhm.
he's gonna get it.
You can't deny due process, and it's on tape. Kate Chilton, Linda Burrows, and Kate Chilton. Linda Burrows is on tape saying, we're not going to give you due process. She's on there saying it's a moot point to ask for due process because they have no working drafts. Now we're going to have due process where it'll show you have no working drafts. And if you create them, we have you on tape saying you didn't have any. That means they're forged. Go ahead. Questions?
Yeah, I have a good segue now. Okay, so you mentioned about the stadium scene in Oblivion. So
Yes.
what was that supposed to be like in your script? If you want, like, what, however
I
much you
love
want
it.
to give away.
In the script, we can do this. Yeah. In the script, the stadium is key to the moment where it shows that the Oracle was not going to go along with the architect's request or demand.
Oh, like it was let known that like she was gonna
When the
not
when
go along.
when the parks, keep in mind in Sense8, Larry picks the lead role of the character representing him as Marks, because he takes Parks, the Oracle, in the original script he was looking at, going off of, and adds my brother's name, Mark, and comes up with Marks. Who's called Marks? Mark and Parks. All right, so we go to the stadium, and it shouldn't be hard to find it all. So we go to right here. Hold on 1 second. I'm right on it right now. Here we go. There it is. Boom, it's all through here. So the pivotal scene in the before the ending of the identical figures facing off is a stadium. I'm going to point to it right here. See it? The stadium. See it?
Yeah.
Okay. The stadium.
And yeah, then what's the context of that
Let
scene?
me describe it. I just want to make sure you saw it.
Yep.
Let me describe it. 1 second. I'm going to go see if I can find a better thing here. Hold on. Here it is right here. This is better. Okay, hold on. I want to ruin the script though. Okay. Hold on. Boom. Now I'll tell you the context. See it? Here's the context. Why Joel Silver and the Wachowskis both wanted Stadium. The Wachowskis wanted it in Matrix, but they said it was too over budget. And they were upset. So Joel Silver puts it in Oblivion when Disney gives them the work. As soon as the case is thrown, Disney gives them the work. Disney. Oh, also, as far as defendants, Disney, Michael Eisner, you're a defendant also. Just laying it out there, along with Kate Chilton, because Kate Chilton. And why is Michael Eisner? How do we know about Mike Eisner? Because of Mike Lang. When the honeypot wife left Aiden, my son, didn't have anything to do with him after that, on my birthday, July 2nd, and went back to Mike Lang of Disney, it led the trail right back to Michael Eisner. So well done, Michael Eisner, picking idiots to be your main players in all this, including Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow, who are idiots. And Tony Rankin, don't get me started. So the stadium. The stadium is important. We've established that Joel Silver really wanted it badly for Oblivion because they didn't get it in Matrix, and the Wachowskis really wanted it in for Underground in Matrix, but they didn't get it because it was too over budget. So Joel Silver gets it. And when listen to this, when in Oblivion, all they're doing in Oblivion at the stadium, Joel Silver puts it in, but there's no context. Again, when they rip things off, right? No real context. We'll go to mine in a second. In Oblivion, you have Tom Cruise, who's always part of the ripoff, like as in Minority Report, Valkyrie. What you have is Tom Cruise at the stadium remembering what football was like before the apocalypse, right? There's no point to it. There's no reason for the stadium to be part of this. But Joel Silver wants to get the stadium in to hit back at the original author who had the stadium as much as an important scene. At the stadium in the original Immortals, copyrighted, preceding Matrix, you have yeah, there it is. It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
We'll just have this play while we talk.
Okay. So in the stadium in the Immortals, the Oracle has shown that he's breaking the deal with the architect to bring the people out at the location where he can then have the free people of Zion worship him. Now, the architect is trying to solve the problem of how to stop his mind from atrophying from lack of stimulation, right? They put that in the Squid Games and they ripped it off through the Japanese Squid Games. And what you have is the solution is untainted humanity coming out to see him come back as Christ. That's why it's important, that ending. But the Wachowskis say they want to keep the same ending. It doesn't make any sense. That's why they put the cross and the crucifix symbol for Neo. They're trying to make the exact ending while also covertly moving people around. Neo is supposed to be watching the facing off of architect, son, looking like Christ, and the real Christ, the identical figures. Pulse wave comes out, turns Earth green, little girl renewed, hugs Neo and points to the sun. They reversed it all, right? Reversed it all the relationships. So the architect is burned by the Oracle, who has agreed to bring the people out. He's even given a chip at a meeting with the architect where it gives all the instructions. Everybody's given the chip, right? And they're just downloaded. There's the Elon Musk thing right there. That's ours, not Elon Musk. Kate Chilton put Elon Musk with it. So it's not Elon Musk's tech at all. And that'll be restored to us in the future when this will all come back to logic applied. So what you have is the stadium scene. The Oracle brings the people of untainted people gathered at the stadium to rise up against the architect, see? And to wait the real Christ's return. Meanwhile, the architect's son's all dressed up with nothing to do. He's dressed up like the real Christ to get the real power of worship given to the architect, see, that will stimulate his mind. That's how you balance the equation. Instead, the Oracle brings all the people to the stadium. The agents are at the stadium. We're at the room of monitors, sound familiar, where Trinity and Neo counterparts are in the Cortex building, seeing in the monitoring room, seeing what's happening at the stadium through the eyes of the agents. That the Oracle's on stage and they're going to kill him. That freaks Trinity out. And, because the Oracle had sent her to Neo. Making sense how it all ties together? And so at the stadium, the Oracle is actually killed at the stadium by agents.
Wow.
That's what happens. So they want to do the stadium. But see, they're small minds, Stephen, and those listening, including Linda Burrows, your small mind, and Kate Chilton. They don't, and the agencies that support them, and Joel Silver now, they don't think it through. By putting the stadium in with Tom Cruise, as you showed, thank you, doesn't serve the story. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, they can get credit for putting the stadium in now, but we have it in the screenplay predating you, right? And even though Kate Chilton gave the orders to the Copyright Office not to give us the copies, there was a party that made it happen. Angela Hightower. Angela Hightower heard that they weren't going to give me the script. When I talked to her personally, she made it happen. Within a week or so, she got me this. She went around Kate Chilton's and made it happen. God bless her inside the Copyright Office. And if they fire you, we'll give you a job with our studios later. Because what did Kate Chilton and Linda Burrows brag? We're worth 1.2 billion plus. We'll give you a job, Angela, when this is done. Don't worry. It'll be good. You did the right thing. That's your legacy. It'll be known. So the stadium was lifted. They wanted to do it. It was too over budget. So they put it in oblivion because Disney's got the money. And it serves no purpose. All it does is stroke Joel Silver's ego. He got the identical figures in. What did Joel Silver do? He did the exact ending of the Immortals, as was the exact ending of the Matrix. His take on it, as soon as the case is thrown. And then he gets to do Altered Carbon at Netflix, where he gets to use up that story with Jackson Neck, everything the way he wants, with Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow benefiting from it. as being the attorneys in charge of content at Netflix. Do you see what's going on? And that's when the hit and run was done on me. Hit and run was done when Joel Silver was producing with Trudeau's administration in Canada.
I
And when he
swear I
missed,
heard somebody else on my headphones here.
yeah, they'd
Like
be
a sniff or a snicker. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe that was you.
that's what they do. No, it's not me. I didn't. But the thing is
Yeah, you
this.
were in the middle of talking when I
That's
heard
right. I
just
couldn't do
heard
that.
that.
So what happens is you've got the hit and run misses, and Joel Silver. What does he do? What did Kate Chilton just do? He retired from the project after the hit and run missed. And my son was murdered instead the day after the hit and run missed me. And I talked to him on the phone. He said, "Be careful down on the highways." And he's killed on the highway. And so that very next day, right? Sean, Michael. And what happens is Joel Silver leaves, like the guilty party leaves the scene, leaves the project, and comes back afterwards. Kate Chilton removes herself, retires early as soon as a Sophia Stewart Kate Chilton payoff letter is shown. While Sophia Stewart's striking from her site, and now she's back. So I'm glad they're back. It makes it better to prosecute them. Now, what would be really funny is if Kate Chilton suddenly retires again. Oops, I'm going to retire again. Can you imagine being at a retirement party where she does the second retirement here? Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's laid out. I hope people can follow this because, I mean, like the stadium scene being inserted by Joel Silver, by Disney holding it to it. Disney, what cowards? Disney waited until the case was thrown to then jump right in and give Oblivion to Joel Silver. And they bragged about it in the article.
Yeah, the portion that I showed here today is, I guess, an alternate opening to the original like start of the film. But I mean, it's there. They filmed and whatever's in the official release. I mean,
Well,
I'll
that's
have to go
interesting. They may
find
have
that.
changed it for a purpose because in the original film, The Oblivion, what you have is Tom Cruise pretending to spike the ball and the Hail Mary, saying about the Hail Mary pass. He's like, touchdown. He spikes the ball, something like this. He hears the crowd cheering like he's in Gladiator. They really went all out to make the stadium scene, which had nothing to do with the story. The only thing we get out of that, Joel Silver, is that Tom Cruise has a fantasy of being the football player and having football back. That's it. It doesn't serve the story at all. But it does allow Joel Silver to put the stadium scene that he wanted in Matrix finally in. It also shows that somebody was over Joel Silver during the ripoff of the film that was able to say no to him when he wanted the stadium and the Wachowskis wanted the stadium. Someone said no to Joel Silver.
So this is not it. This is not the only thing they ripped off. They also ripped off this ending.
The little girl.
This is also Oblivion, and it's the little girl pointing
which is
off
huge.
camera.
The little girl looks exactly like my daughter, Terrace. That's what Terrace looks like, my daughter. When they took my work, she looks exactly. They found an actress to look exactly like my daughter. She's not the prettiest little girl.
So you remove all context and you say a little girl pointing across the end at a movie, like the end of the movie.
At the end of the movie, it's right in here, right here, the very end.
Same concept reused.
And you have the wife there, which the wife is restored at the end. She's hugging Neo at the end, and here it is right here. Wait a second. Here's his wife, Julia.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't notice you were holding something up. Okay, here we go.
Here's his wife, Julia. His last page, praying for time with George Michael. And you got Julia, his wife, restored to him, and Brittany, his daughter, restored to him. That's why there's a little girl at the train station. Reminds him of his daughter he lost, who's restored to him at the end. See? And she points to the man, the Christ. That's the man that pulled her out of the fire. She had burn scars. She was 76 years old, like they ripped off in Interstellar. And now she restores a little girl again. As which
it's making more and more sense like every time we review this stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like your script says daddy daddy, and then they stripped it away and just made her say look.
So Joel Silver, right. And Joel Silver puts it back the way it was in the original screenplay because he liked the way it was in the original screenplay. And Wachowski didn't like relationships. And that's what they took out of Assassins. That's why they were cited for another writer had to be brought in because they didn't make sympathetic central characters. Specifically, they said that. And they didn't have relationships.
I have questions based off of what you just said.
Mhm.
Who are Neo's parents? Who are Trinity's and Morpheus's parents? They're nowhere. They're no
Right.
part of the story at all. You'd think Trinity would be like having like a keepsake. This was my father's. He never woke up from the Matrix. Like, come on.
Well, you just hit
This is
something. So,
creators that are putting stuff in that could have been. It could have made it so much better, Tom. But they were ripping off your work, and that's why it sucks the way it does.
well, you just hit something so important because here we go. What's this? Remember the machines falling to the ground at the end,
Yeah.
and they lose their power. And here's I'm going to read to you what it says here. So the little girl from the train station is renewed as the pulse wave comes back. Remember the greening of the earth in Matrix, and the little girl's restored. That's what happens in right here on the second to last page. Now I'm going to read it to you. Wagner, which is the architect's son, took his father's place by taking this enhancer to be number one. Watches as his facility mushrooms under a gigantic explosion, followed by an atmospheric concussion. Everywhere, machines fall from the sky in flames or grind to a halt on the ground. As the blue images of victims' faces cease, the ground tremors stop. And it talks about how they're trailing down and streaming down, and the others just cease. That's what they did in Matrix. They had them all just cease, right? Then you
Mm-hmm.
have, wait a second. Um, there it is, right here. The Neo character, fatigued from his wounds, sees the flames approaching. The wall of flames that came out of the crater, right? The pulse wave that turned the Earth's brain again, right? It says he looks at Julia's picture, his wife's picture. It's an old picture he carried with him all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wait, you just said the pulse wave that turned the Earth green again?
yeah, it's from the identical figures facing off the crater. The one goes in it.
That, like, is that how you have it worded there?
Let me read the actual wording.
That's amazing.
Hold on.
Because that's exactly what happens at the end of Revolutions.
Let me read to you what it says right here. First of all, you see it's there. Anybody can screenshot that. Let me read it to you. Ready? Let
Yeah.
me read it to you. The identical figure what turns to face one of the fiery craters below the hill and hurls the architect's son into it. Wagner screams as he's swallowed up by the fiery pit. A wall of flames spreads from the pit, turning the parched ground green with vegetation.
And that's the reload.
It's the exact ending.
Oh,
Remember the Wachowski said they're going to use the exact ending. They weren't going to change it. Everybody said blow it up.
the
Jim
reload is the green grass.
Neo character, fatigued from his wounds, sees the flames approaching. He looks at Julia's picture one last time as the flames rush over him. The wall of flames. Then we're at the transport terminal with the little girl. The wall of flames approaches rapidly from distance. It passes over trees without harming them. Some people try to run from it. The girl with a doll smiles as the flames pass over her. She's renewed.
And the Matrix reload passes over Sati.
And
They
get
make her
this.
digital
Remember,
glitch and
remember,
everything
remember,
fixes.
remember the gray sidewalk that she's laying on.
Yeah.
Listen to these other words. Listen to the other words here. Ready? We've never done this before. The flames wash over the gray city, replacing it with renewed nature and trees abounding.
These guys ripped off your work,
Listen, next
and
line.
you
Yeah.
are going to get well deserved justice, Tom.
Next line. There's more, Stephen.
Oh,
Now we go to the exterior of the monument ruins, right, which is where Neo is. It says the sky clears. Neo sees his wounds are healed. He hears his name called out. Remember, the Oracle hears her name, or she was called out to by the little girl running up
mhm.
train station. Right. This is it. It's Jim touches the back of his neck where his enhancer used to be. Elon Musk, enhancer, Neuralink. Right here, the main character at the end is touching his neck because he thinks it's Neuralink that's making him hear these things. Right? Then he hears "Daddy" from the little girl. So we've got the little girl from the train station renewed, and then his daughter is renewed running up to him. What they did in Matrix is they kept the little girl from the train station renewed, and then the little girl from the train station runs up.
They
Doesn't make sense.
removed the relationship from
Yeah,
Neo.
they did. But it doesn't make sense to have her renewed at the train station platform, then running up in the next cut. But you
No,
have to have a cut in
it looked
ours
like
because
she
it's
was.
different girls.
it looked like they threw her like on a sidewalk of a
Yes,
like
yes, like a gray sidewalk,
traffic area.
like a gray sidewalk. See, the
Yeah.
cutaway makes sense, Stephen, if you have the little girl from the train station renewed and then the actual daughter renewed running up. That's why you need a cutaway. She's calling out and she sees Julia and Brittany, sees her wife and daughter. Remember that Oblivion clip you just showed? Yeah. He's seeing his wife and daughter. They embrace, laughing and crying at the same time. Jim kisses Julia passionately. The wallet picture falls from Jim's hand. That's in Elysium at the end when he downloads the program. The picture falls from his hand. When Mel Gibson ripped this off, he put in Braveheart the picture, the thing from his wife falls from his hand when he's executed at the end. So what you have is Brittany is 6 years old again without scars on her face. She puts her arms around Jim's neck. He picks her up. Brittany touches Jim's face and hair as she speaks. We watched you, Daddy. You did. I wanted to tell you it's okay. He looks at her faces, thrilled with life again, trying to take it in. The wife says, you did well. Brittany points to Christ. That's the man that pulled me out of the fire. The screen goes black. What's important is the ending was not satisfying the Matrix because the little girl points for a reason. When we see her point and say, the man, they took that line out, the man that pulled me out of the fire, in the Interstellar ripoff, the little girl is supposed to be there with her daddy coming, who's not aged and she's aged. And she says, a man pulled me out of the fire. And Neo thinks it's a Smith agent that saved his daughter. And that creates a simulation for the architect because he thinks that at least Neo thinks that at least his daughter was spared by Smith. And he finds out that very line that it wasn't Smith that saved his daughter from the burning house. It was the Christ figure. That's why she's pointing and saying, that's the man that pulled me out of the fire. So that's your satisfying ending where audiences go, oh, now I get it. It's the little girl who was rescued by the Christ figure, not the Smith. So that's that bittersweet loyalty and tension that created throughout the screenplay where Neo thought Smith had rescued his daughter, the only logical conclusion he could have when the house was firebombed after he was put in stasis in the pods and brought back later. See, that's why she had burn scars on her face when she's an old woman, when he's brought back later. See how it ties together? So that ripping it off, it made no sense at all. There it is, a gray city renewed with vegetation and green. And
off to the left of the frame is
here.
the giant crater that Smith and Neo made.
Right.
This is incredible stuff, Tom, that we're covering today.
Which is never.
Because I don't think we've covered this part of your
script. No one has. No one has in hundreds of interviews.
A crater was made, and in your script, the ripples bring life back into everything in color.
But,
well, just let's watch this through this sequence here.
You want me to read it again too?
Yeah, read it again real quick, and then we'll watch this together.
Okay, here you go. All right, so of course we got the thing streaming from the sky. We got the crater. After the okay, we got the crater. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's the crater mentioned. The Christ figure, okay, turns to face one of the fiery craters below the hill and hurls Wagner into it. So the architect's son is thrown into the crater.
Oh,
Wagner's
hold on. I'm trying to like do reference clips here.
You're doing great.
It's almost like a dry run for the deposition.
It's like this was a timing that was meant to be. You know why? Kate Chilton's watching. I'm told she's watching. So she's gonna.
Yeah, we'll watch this fight scene.
Let her try to say.
Matchups.
Let her try to say now, Kate. Try to say this isn't triable evidence. Try to say this isn't a triable issue. Try to get motion for summary judgment now, and you won't be in California court. There's no way you're going to have it, even though you got the judges saying you will. Try to get a motion for summary judgment now with this triable issue. This layers of triable issue right at the end.
All right. Oh, this isn't it. They put it like in two halves.
Well, we know the crater. Go back to little girl. You're good. Go back to the little girl on the sidewalk and let me read this, and then we'll play it.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yeah, the crater scene's iconic, but yeah, we'll show
the timing. The timing is so perfect. Yeah, it's iconic. The timing's so perfect.
So after the crater scene happens, then they have this, but the Matrix reload ripple could be exactly what Tom has in his script of it being a ripple that causes like life to renew.
Well, this is why the timing's so perfect. Is that Kate Chilton is going to watch this now after she comes back from retirement.
Okay, yeah. So we have the crater scene that just happened, and then there's this. So we'll watch.
Let me read it first.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I want to hold this picture one more time. I want to send a message out to Otika Ball, who should have been there helping us. She cowered out and didn't show up. She said she'd be there for any litigation. She was the one that was at the pitch session with Bonaventura, and Kate Chilton didn't want her to show up. But I'm just going to put a message out to her saying, you need to come forward now. You really should do it. Bring the evidence forward. You really should talk about being at the pitch session and help us finish this, because you can see now that this is the ending, that you were there, that allowed me to write this stuff. So sorry,
Absolutely.
anyway, here we go. Let's
Yeah,
read this.
Tika, if you still have those tapes, just
So Tika, time to come out of mothballs and do the right thing. Come on, all the work we did on this and facing down Pat Robertson, and you were at the pitch session, and here's the proof. Do the right thing. Just do it. We don't have to talk after that at all. I prefer that. Let's just get this done for the kids. All right, here we go. So Christ turns to face one of the fiery craters before the hill and hurls Wagner into it. So the architect's son, being the architect, is thrown into it. Wagner screams as he's swallowed by the fiery pit. A wall of flames spreads from the pit, turning the parched ground green with vegetation, right? Then we go to Neo, fatigued from his wounds, see the flames approaching. He looks at Julia's picture one last time as the flames rush over him. The wall of flames approaches rapidly from the distance at the train station. Now we're at the train station. The people looking through the barbed wire. It passes over trees without harming them. Some people try to run from it. The girl with the doll smiles as the flames pass over her. Then it says the sky clears. Oh, the flames wash over the gray city, replacing it with renewed nature and trees abounding. The sky clears. Jim sees his wounds are healed, and hears his name.
yeah, I'm showing the clip here. This
you.
is amazing. We'll do this one more time. And then they show the literal ghost. They do the ghost in the shell shot here. You see this? This is literally showing there's a spirit inside of the machine here.
And they put the cross on. Well, actually, they're trying to work around the actual ending. They put the exact ending in, right? So they're planning to put the Christianity in.
There's chunks of concrete and everything from the crater. Then the reload wipes over everything, including Sati, and Sati's now like in a clean dress. Everything's cleaned up. Sidewalks okay.
Renewed to
Black
life,
Cat's
as
okay.
Neo's daughter is. Neo's daughter is renewed to life, 6 years old again, without burn scars on her face.
So if you cut out all the BS fighting and stuff, Smith puts Neo into a crater, and they zero out each other, and then the life prospers after that.
Now, I mean, here's where it's voted one of the worst sequels of all time, 11th worst sequels of all time. Pause a second.
Yeah, it was bad.
No, the reason is because they don't know how to end it, right? No, show the image. Show the image as I talk, if you may.
Yeah.
Show the image.
Yep.
Now, here's the point. You can freeze it. Here's the point. Remember they said they were going to use the exact ending, and they said everybody said blow it up? It should have when they reorganized everything and took it out of context, right? Unless you're going to make the original movie the way it is, which Kate Chilton has Sophia Stewart calling and saying, don't make it. We'll put an injunction on you. Well, Kate Chilton through Sophia Stewart, listen, Kate Chilton, put an injunction on us, and that means that we won our case because that means there's matchups. Put the injunction, Kate. Go ahead and stay out of retirement. Stay with us. We want you there out of retirement. Now, what happens is you've got them having to wrap it up, right? So if they're going to keep the exact ending, they have the architect walking up who's supposed to be facing off with Christ and thrown in the crater. So they put him walking up, reversing it around.
They just shuffled everything.
Shuffled everything around. And so you can't have Neo now watching, so they put the Oracle watching. See? Doesn't make sense. And the little girl hugging the Oracle doesn't do any good because they didn't have a relationship. So, in either cases. So it should be hugging Neo, her daddy, restored to life, is where the power is. And so what you have is the architect babbling with because they're improvising, babbling with the Oracle about an uneasy peace and truce, which doesn't guarantee anything. That's like Gaza having a moment of, a peace of a truce. Doesn't mean anything, does it? We all know. So this doesn't mean anything, but it's a way they can finally tie it up, by keeping the exact ending of the author, but it just doesn't hold water. It's not satisfying. What's more satisfying is Neo is reunited with his daughter who he had lost, who's renewed to life from the pulse wave coming out of the identical figure, where the architect gets his dues, right? And the pulse wave coming out, greening the earth, and he's reunited with his daughter, restored to 6 years old again without burn scars, where the earth is renewed again. The little girl from the train station is taken care of, and we see her pointing to the sun, saying, "That's the man that pulled me out of the fire."
Okay, another like WTF moment here. Who is Seraph and why is he in this last scene with
He has
Sati
no
and the
point here.
Oracle?
No point. Like the babysitter. It's like the babysitter coming up, and he has nothing to do. It makes no point. They're just trying.
This dude right here.
No,
Like what?
there is no Seraph in the Immortals. They added him to try to make it work, and it doesn't work. It's a nonsense character, and trying to make him look cool doesn't work. He's wearing the glasses that Larry wears.
Oh,
Larry
yeah,
wears
look at
these
that.
glasses in some shots. Thinking, here, wear these, they'll look cooler. And
But,
there's a shot. That's the shot I was shown.
this is lifted from your script, Tom. This exact
Yeah.
shot,
Well, this is what I was
followed
shown.
by this shot. But
That's right. The sky's clear.
It's supposed to be Christ behind all that light. Supposed to be Christ.
That's right. The earth is renewed after Christ throws the architect into the crater, architect's son, and the earth.
Instead of the Oracle, it's supposed to be
her daddy. Her daddy is
dad,
there, Neo,
which is the Neo character.
He gets his daughter back. The reason I wrote it that way is I could be reunited with my daughter again and my sons that were taken. See, that were taken away. Now look at her look, and
there's no like they only have been shown on camera. I'm critiquing the Wachowski BS right now.
Yeah.
These two characters were only shown on camera baking some cookies. That's it. I have no emotional attachment to their relationship. This isn't a grandma-granddaughter relationship. I don't even know what this is. These are two programs, soulless beings.
Let me read the ending again then. What it was supposed to be, a relationship, right? Think of a father that hasn't seen his daughter.
And her acting is so terrible. I'm sorry. I don't know who got the favor to have their kid in this film, but like,
yeah,
maybe I just don't know. It's so much wasted potential, especially when it's in the right context in the Immortals with your script. So,
right. Well, that's why I'm so excited we're going to be making the Immortals the way it's supposed to be, with the right feeling. Like that goes back to Interstellar, when
it won't be people laughing at the end. It'll be people crying. But yeah, what were you saying about Interstellar?
Christopher Nolan rips it off so badly. There's no feeling at all in the daddy coming back to the daughter who's now like 76 years old, and she just waves him off. She's not suffering from anything. She just waves him off. Not just talking to people around her. We don't know who these people are. We don't care about it. We're not invested.
A lot of these scenes that have been ripped off really have like coldness. Yeah, there's no feeling. Yeah,
they're just doing it to get credit for the idea, and this in the scenes. And there's layers that are taken. And so if you look at what was really written at the ending, you have a wife that's gone, right? That was reprogrammed to fight against her husband. That's hard in a breakup. You've got that he's so obsessed about her, he carries her picture around with him, and reprograms a Surrey before Surrey was invented. It's in here. The tech is in here. And his house, his Neuralink, everything is programmed with her voice and personality. See? He's so obsessed. That's a flaw in our character, apparently, one of our quirks. And so just think what it would mean to Neo if his wife then comes back. He was so obsessed, right? Then you have the daughter restored, where he saw her 76-year-old in ours dying of Alzheimer's in his arms, being restored as a 6-year-old again without scars. Think of that, right? Now, Disney ripped that off in Spiderwick. Disney got to use that up in Spiderwick, where they had the little girl restored to life again as a 6-year-old, reunited with the guy, and walks off.
I've heard of that film.
That's right. Well, that was done by Disney to rip this scene off. Now watch this, because they really liked it. Remember, they're holding it for oblivion till the case is thrown. So it says this. It says, what was that? So you got that scene with her walking up. Doesn't mean anything with a seraph in the background. It's actually supposed to be the flames wash over the gray city, replacing it with renewed nature and trees abounding. Remember the little girl laughing as the flames passed by her? She wasn't afraid. She knew that it was not going to harm her. And the sky clear. At least she's laughing at ours. The sky clears at the monument where Neo is. And I'll put his name in. Neo sees his wounds are healed. He hears his name. It's his wife calling Jim. Jim, and she's questioning. She's going, Jim? So obviously she's just been renewed. The wife has just been renewed too, and she doesn't know where she is. And there's her husband. There's going to be emotion here. And she goes, and so Jim touches the back of his neck where his enhancer used to be. That is right in the face of Elon Musk. Come on. And Kate Chilton and Linda Burrows, who said there's no Jackson Neck in here. So he's touching it, thinking that maybe it's his program. Brittany goes, Daddy. Jim turns and sees Julia and Brittany, the wife and daughter. They embrace, laughing and crying. Seem to be missing from Matrix. At the same time, Jim kisses Julia passionately, the wife he's not seen, thought was dead. The wallet picture falls from Jim's hand, doesn't need it anymore. Brittany is 6 years old again without scars on her face. She puts her arm around Jim's neck as he picks her up. I'm getting moved. Brittany touches Jim's face and hair as he speaks. Now, keep in mind, this is what she did when she was 76 years old, dying of Alzheimer's in the hospital bed. She was touching his face as a 6-year-old, talking to him, saying, please don't leave me again, Daddy. Emotions are there. Brittany says, we watched you, Daddy. Jim says, you did? Brittany says, I wanted to tell you it's okay. So all this time she's been watching, like I feel my sons have been. She says, I wanted to tell you it's okay. Could you imagine if I was told by my sons, I could see them and they said, we watched you in the afterlife. We wanted to tell you it was okay. I'm having trouble continuing.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And I think about this with like you're right. You hit the nail on the head. They don't do any there's no laughter.
It's all gone. All the feeling, all the
Like
important.
there's no
And
compassion.
what they say about
Have
the
we
little girl.
seen more? Let's say, for example, Morpheus. Has he laughed? Has he genuinely had joy about anything?
They're trying to think how to make up their lines. Because they're not allowed to use this script exactly. They're supposed to improvise off it. And then get this. You have Jim looks at their faces, thrilled with life again, trying to take it in. Julia, you did well, Jim. That's what I've said. I wanted to hear from God at one point, well done. That's all I want to hear. I said, that's the only reward I would want. And then it says, Brittany points to Christ. That's the man that pulled me out of the fire. The screen goes back, black, Praying for Time by George Michael. So in ours, you have all this feeling and it's like connected. And that's a satisfying ending, I believe, because it ties up how she was pulled out of the fire. It wasn't me. It wasn't Smith. And that set up that whole scenario. In theirs, they say on their fan page, the little girl, the people asked on the fan page, what's the little girl represent? They said she's just a subplot. That's all they wrote. She's just a subplot. Then why end it with a little girl? She's just a subplot. And what's a subplot? They don't want to say.
There were so many intelligent people following the Matrix franchise on those I was one of those people on those message boards asking questions like that. And it's a shame of like just all that wasted potential. Imagine if Warner Brothers just invited the top 1,000 Matrix fans in to write the last two movies. It would have been incredible, but it also would have really buried what like you getting the recognition you deserve.
Well,
Like
that's the
I
thing.
want everything from Warner Brothers and Wachowskis. I want that stamped out of the memory.
Well,
Like,
I want to make an announcement too, because I know a lot of people are watching, even though they're going to show zero. It's like they're shadow banning us. That's why they don't let it be seen.
yeah,
And as people see in the future,
there's probably
no
40
longer,
people watching, and it's not going to say it.
I am no longer going to offer the Immortals copyright to every man, woman, and child. I'm not doing it anymore. Not after
Excellent.
not after the comments I've seen, and not after what's happened with people just like taking advantage.
There's a reason why your script is like so sought after. There, like you even said, you felt like you had some sort of
Connection.
like a divine intervention
Absolutely.
of being
Absolutely.
told what to write with some of this stuff.
Exactly. It just
So
flowed. I was laughing and crying when I wrote it. Did you see how emotional I got when I was reading that ending? It's not because it's my words, it's because that's what I was given.
yeah, and
True.
work like these stories should move us as human beings. Like we need to feel this stuff once in a while. It's not just all laugh and smile and like just
You just
I
gave
don't
me a
know, like
thought
the
too.
brain fog stuff with
Can
some
I
of this
read?
Netflix.
Can I do one more thing before we go? Can I
Yeah,
read?
yeah.
I want to read the actual Interstellar scene before Christopher Nolan ripped it off in Interstellar. Can I read you the actual scene, what it was supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
let's go to it. I want to show you what he stole from and what it was supposed to be. And think of what he had. I can't even watch it right now what he had. But let me read to you what was here. And put yourself in the shoes of Neo. Well, they call him Neo, Jim. Okay. First of all, Jim is brought out of Jim Reese, which they use that name Jim Reese afterwards for Terminal List on Amazon. They put the actual character name that Keanu Reeves was reading into Terminal List, which was a sign that I was on the list, and made a #1 show. Now, Jim is brought out of stasis out of the pods, right? He's brought out of stasis. There's 2 pod scenes in this. You have the field of pods in the beginning, where secondaries are being brought forward, which are the architect's test subjects for the architect's main primaries to test safely on field of pods, one by one, suffering and spewing blood and things out of these liquid pods. Next, the second time is when Jim is brought out of the pods. Neo is brought. Remember that Neo brought out of the pods. Now,
Hmm.
what's interesting is in Matrix, you have a machine doing it with the blue reflection of Neo's face on it, a blue reflection. That's because in the Armageddon scene in here, the squiddies reflect the victim's face in blue on the front of the machine, so that others all over can see the suffering in a blue face of any victim they're impaling with their precision-like tails. Get it? See that? So they even took that. Now in this, we
They
have
actually, yeah, okay, yeah,
here's
continue.
why. That's why the field of pods. Now the field of pods also, Neo's brought out of stasis, right? Or Jim. And he's told after this accident, the simulation of his death was real. So he's frozen with his injuries. He died. He's brought back. Smith is assigned to Neo to orientate him in the new world, the new future, the one world society. Why? Because the architect wants them to hate each other to stimulate his mind. He doesn't want his mind to lack stimulation like Squid Games. So what happens is they're assigned but not allowed to kill each other. And so the architect has behind the scenes plans for Neo under Smith. And Smith is not allowed to take him out yet until he gets the word. But when Smith goes to take him out, he actually fails. And it's Jim that cuts out with a piece of glass Smith's enhancer and takes that and has to use it, which is Sense8. And also it's Elysium. Elysium was Warner Brothers' take after the case was thrown. A shard of glass to cut it out. Okay, so that's what happens. Now he's told when he's brought back by Behringer, or the Smith agent, that you may not see any family members, right? Well, he hears that his daughter is still alive. She's 76 years old with burn scars on her face. That means the house was firebombed, that his daughter suffered, and lived a whole life without him, alone, without family, like my son. And he's going to break that rule and go and see her, isn't he? Now, if I may, I'm going to read it.
Yeah, go
So,
for it.
he's at a. This is funny. Oh my God, AT&T. I didn't know that AT&T was owned by Warner Brothers at the time, or they had investment, total controlling stock. So
Oh,
here it is. The exterior MCA and T phone. It's changed to MCA and T. Information terminal, night. Jim, still recovering from his injuries, uses a viewer to try and locate his family with a palm thing. Jim's point of view, the screen. Julia Reese, no record. So his wife is gone. Actually, she's reprogrammed by the Smith agent to be his wife. He takes them. That's what these guys do. They take our stuff, right? And includes wives. What did Mike Lang do? Call the wife home to his mistress pad, and that email that we have on my birthday. See, they take your wives. They think that's the total man on man breakdown thing where you're better than the other man. The author's wife. Isn't that credible? So here you go. Julia Reese, no record. Brittany Reese, no record. So no record of either of them. It's been
yeah, it's a level of control they try to put upon
right.
you.
And here's shadow banning right here in the very script. No record of either his daughter or his wife. Jim starts to walk away as the screen changes to a picture and address of Willow's Adult Care Center. He writes the address on his hand. Interior, Willow's Adult Care Center lobby day. Here we go. I'm going to say Neo for this, just purposes. It's actually Jim. Neo is
Yeah.
dealing with a suspicious receptionist. Elderly patients are. Sorry, I lost the word. Elderly. This is important too. Elderly
You're
patients.
okay. You're okay.
Elderly patients are seated about the room. See, this is supposed to be seen, not read, but I'll do it. I'll read it. Okay. Brittany is not among them. Receptionist, looking at a computer screen. Brittany Reese. Brittany Reese. Here she is. Pushes a keyboard button. She has Alzheimer's and is very ill. Remember the Neuralink could help Alzheimer's? Right. That's why it's here. It is recommended she doesn't have visitors. It also says here she has no family. So you're supposed to be a friend of hers? The receptionist is mocking. Jim's point of view computer screen shows Brittany Reese is room 107. The receptionist glances up and meets Jim's eyes. Neo. Yes, an old friend. Receptionist. Well, then, as a friend, you will understand she needs rest most. Besides, it says here she has the mind of a 6-year-old, so she won't be able to understand you anyway. Next. She's got the mind of a 6-year-old. Exactly when he left her. The scene before, she was 6 years old, begging for her daddy to go to the party when he's going off to the assimilation. At the assimilation, the Morpheus character pops up and is a friend of his from the office of the lower echelon CIA office, and says that his house has been firebombed, his family dead. What's going on? He pushes his best friend from the car, stay away from my family. He knows houses are being firebombed.
So how does the time like pass for her to become older?
Because Jim Reese Neo's in stasis. He's in the pods.
Okay.
The accident after simulation is actually a Mack truck. They kept the Mack truck scene devouring the phone booth. So the Mack truck devours his car. He's killed, frozen with his injuries, and brought back in our time 70 years later when Brittany's now 76 years old, not a 6-year-old anymore. Remember, he promised he'd come to his daughter's birthday too before he was at the simulation, right? He leaves a note for his family saying to his wife, if anything happens to him, trust no one, run. Don't trust anyone. Get out of there with Brittany, right? But he's too late because Smith actually comes to the home and the house is firebombed. The wife is raped, we can see, and the daughter witnesses it. That's why they put that in Elysium, where the young girl is seeing the woman being molested by the main character in front of her. They liked that. It was in here, as horrific as it is. Now, in ours, okay, in theirs, they're just doing it for gratification. In ours, there's a point to the story. So here we go. So she has Alzheimer's. She's 76 years old. Last time we saw her was 6 years old. She's got burn scars. Okay, so next, Mr. Joyner, an elderly man, steps up. Receptionist, hello, Mr. Joyner. Here to see Betty? Neo goes down the hall as he's leaving. The receptionist watches Neo as Mr. Joyner responds to her. Mr. Joyner says, it's our anniversary. The receptionist looks back at Mr. Joyner. How nice. Hall, Jim is looking for Brittany's room. He stops at 107. Now watch this. Listen to this. Here's what it's supposed to be, Christopher Nolan. He had the script in front of him. How could he get it wrong? All right. Brittany's room. Think of being a father and your daughter you haven't seen for 70 years. She's been through hell. She's been alone. You promised to be at her birthday. 70 years have passed. She's dying of Alzheimer's, may not even recognize you, and has suffered terribly, and she's dying. The reason the architect is allowing Neo to see his daughter now, she's dying. He wants that effect. He wants to see her die. See what the architect's doing? So here we go. Sound like the agencies? Next, Brittany's room. Brittany is laying face up on a bed. She is now in her 70s and very frail. Jim enters and closes the door behind him. He walks slowly to her. Jim says, Brittany, honey? He strokes her hair gently from her eyes, this elderly woman. Brittany wearily opens her eyes. They are glassy and red. She sees Neo and smiles. There are burn scars on her face. That house was firebombed. Brittany says, Daddy? 76-year-old woman. Daddy? Neo says, I'm here, honey. Brittany says, I knew you'd come back. I don't feel so good. See? Even my friend Greg got emotional. I still even now. Think what Christopher Nolan did to this. So she said, back again, sorry. It was hard for me to get through that. Brittany, Daddy? Jim, I'm here, honey. No, Neo, I'm here, honey. Brittany says, I knew you'd come back. I don't feel so good. Talking like a 6-year-old. Jim sits on her bed and lifts her to him in an embrace. Neo says, I know, sweetheart, I know. Brittany says, I missed you so much. Neo starts to cry as he rocks her. Neo says, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Brittany says, I love you. Neo says, I love you and your little dog too. That was the game they played when she was little. She always said at prayer time, at bedtime, read her story and she said, I love you. He said, I love you. And she goes, I love you and your little dog. No, he says, I love you and your little dog too. It was a game they played. I love you, Daddy. I love you and your little dog too. Brittany starts to cry. Neo strokes her hair, letting her talk. Brittany, Mommy said to go to my room. Then the house got on fire and I got hurt. A man carried me out of the fire. See how we're setting up for the ending. So Neo's going to think it's the Smith that rescued his daughter, at least. Bittersweet. Brittany, I wanted to tell you so you'd say it's okay now. Neo, It's okay now, honey. It's okay. I haven't read this for so long and still I'm getting hit. Brittany touches Jim's face and hair. Remember the ending? Like a little girl would. Brittany, you missed my birthdays. A nurse opens the door. Worst timing. Jim to Brittany, or Neo to Brittany. You want a birthday party? Brittany saying anything at this point. Brittany smiles and nods yes slowly as she touches Jim's cheek. Brittany, with you. Nurse irritated. Excuse me. Jim sees the nurse. Or Neo sees the nurse. Neo, nurse, order me a cake. Brittany, vanilla. Neo to the nurse, a vanilla cake. Brittany, with blue icing flowers. Nurse, I want you to leave this room right now. Brittany desperately, no, Daddy, don't leave me alone again. Neo, I promise, honey. Which he promised to be at her birthday when she was 6. Nurse, you're confusing her. Brittany crying, I knew you wouldn't forget me, Daddy. Neo, we're going home, Brittany. Nurse, calling down the hall. Orderly, come here quickly. Remove this man. Brittany puts her arm around Jim's neck, or Neo's neck, as Neo picks her up. Neo, I'll never leave you again. An orderly enters the room. Orderly, put her down. Neo, get out of my way. Neo runs from the room carrying Brittany, 76 years old, and knocking the orderly down. Hall. So we're in the hall now with Neo. Dashes down the hall with Brittany clinging tightly to him as the nurse yells down the hall for help. Get security. There's a crazy man kidnapping a patient. Brittany loudly to the nurse. He's my daddy. Other hospital staff chase after Neo. Neo turns some corners, finally coming face to face with a large orderly and a doctor who grabbed him. Neo looks down and sees Brittany smiling. The doctor looks closely at her. Doctor, she's dead. So she died with tears and a smile on her face.
What a lot of life in that scene, though. That's a lot of life. If you compare this to the Interstellar scene, that is so sterile and just soulless, lifeless.
What all
There's so much life in the scene that you just read.
I can't
so much stakes changing and just like going and going and going.
And we did our homework. We make it realistic, right? We make it realistic. What a father would feel and what a daughter would say. If she's 76 years old in the mind of a daughter, this is what she's gonna say.
I was thinking of like just like the plugged in NPC people in the program still, or whatever, in the Matrix thing, whatever the program.
Hear the rest of the ending then. Ready?
What? Yeah, okay, yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead. You say what you're gonna say. Say it.
When Brittany was saying he's my daddy, like imagine the people that have no idea what's going on in the scene, like as characters, like just regular workers have no idea about anything. They see him carrying this old lady that's saying that the guy younger than them,
they think they're nuts.
Yeah. Like the context is just so just out there, and it's wow, okay, like that just happened, and there's a whole bunch of security running after them.
That's what good work is supposed to be. Good work is supposed to be that you see both perspectives at the same time.
Yes,
that's good work.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they still say they're trying to use up the rest of the story, but they don't get that. Now they hear the ending. So I'll point something out at the end here. The doctor says she's dead, and that's a huge moment. She's smiling. Think of the daddy looking down and saying she's smiling up at him. But the doctor says she's dead. She died in his arms, smiling. She had one moment of happiness in his arms. Then it goes like this, and tears in her face. A female administrator, 0 emotions, like you just said. Polished approaches. Administrator, you are to leave and never come back. Kate Chilton. You're to leave and never come back. To others. Since she says to others, all right, it's all over. Get back to your stations. Staff disperse. The large orderly and doctor remain. Threatening. The administrator looks directly at Jim unsympathetically and knowingly. Administrator, Dr. Michaels would Dr. Michaels, would you kindly take the body from Mr. Reese? Doesn't even call it his daughter. Exit Willow Adult Care Center day. Neo exits the center slowly. A tear remains on his face. He has lost everything. He looks up and stops. Smith and 2 men in suits stand at a distance, watching him. Smith and Neo stare at each other for a long, icy moment. He's broken the rules. He wasn't supposed to go see a family member. Neo then walks on, nothing else to lose. Smith just watches, letting him go. We go to black. Music plays. What's interesting is that's why in Matrix, in the Matrix trilogy, you have the three people in trench coats on the cover. They got it from that scene, the most powerful scene I thought as a writer, where when Neo's going out and is faced off by them, that icy moment, you've got a cover shot, that icy moment of nothing, just freeze. It's a freeze right there. It's an icy moment. The three figures. They even got that from that.
And now it's just overdone. Like all the like, okay, there's deadpan where the actors just don't have anything, just no expression, and it's overused to the point where it's like going back on itself. At the beginning of film, like they would just show a picture of someone deadpan and then show like a bowl of cereal and then show the deadpan face again and then ask the audience what they thought of the short film. They're like, oh, the guy was hungry. He was looking at food. He wanted to eat. But that was the audience putting the context into
Yes.
the
Yes.
scene. So it's a similar kind of a similar thing going on with Hollywood with they're not putting emotional scenes in anymore. I don't really feel like the stuff that I've been gravitated to or like the big name like creative people that are being pushed out there right now. They say they're creative. Okay, I don't trust anything Hollywood's putting out right now. And it just seems like they overdo what they think works, and most of the times it doesn't work at all. The Dark Knight turned into like all the studios using the word dark or
Mm-hmm.
shadow. There's a whole bunch of just let's make everything dark, and that's what they've done since '08. It's incredible. They have no original ideas.
No, they don't. In fact,
Everything there's like no. I don't feel that type of like human emotions watching a lot of these films that rip off your work and also that have piggybacked off of these ideas because there's a whole like grouping of films that have like supposedly been inspired by the Matrix franchise of Warner Brothers and Disney.
you know that on their fan page, the Wachowskis actually say on their fan page that they're thanking their fans for explaining what the Matrix means to them. Yes, yes. They
I
said
have a
that the
whole book
fans
about what
actually
I think Smith is, but
that
that's,
the fans,
I mean,
yeah. Well, the fans, yeah, you did. The fans say they say that the fans corrected them on the 6 generations of Zion being a bad idea that should have been one. In the original Immortals, it's only one generation of Zion. It's only one. It's not 6. So they're going back. Their fans are saying it should be what the original Immortals is. Isn't that something? And
yeah,
then you got Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow audibly saying that they have no working drafts at all. And the mute point by Kate Chilton, the mute point that not to ask for any discovery. Here's just a few of the working drafts, original working drafts of the Immortals.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's a thick stack.
And that's only a portion of them. Because during the planted attorney, remember the attorney with a suspended license, Tony Rankin, who doesn't want his contract being shown because it's illegal. Anybody wants to take a freeze frame of that, please do, because you're going to see on the second page that that's the payoff letter. That's one of the payoff letters. Anyway, it's the payoff letter. That's where they were conspiring. Linda Burrow, Rios, and Rankin were saying that they better work together to throw Tom Althouse off and talk to any attorneys and have them get rid of Tom's case and not work with Tom in the future because they could all be going to jail. That's a letter.
Amazing.
We got it. I was not supposed to have that letter. We got it. But in his contract, like suspended license, the contract is illegal, and Tony Rankin never wanted his contract being shown because it's illegal what he put in there that you can't be fired. Remember that he said that after he fired him, a half hour later, he allowed them to proceed to summary judgment without objection, not allowing any tribal issues to be listed so they can get away with it after he's fired. Well, that's what I'm saying to Kate Chilton, Linda Burrow right now, and Joel Silver. Joel Silver, we're coming for you because there will be tribal issues you won't get around now. We're going to make sure the tribal issues in that, and that includes all the inserts. So we are coming for you on this one. And there will be, as we said, 7 hours, at least 7 hours, our allotted time of video recordings of Joel Silver for the public to see with all the questions that he'll be too embarrassed to answer. It's all coming forward. It's going to happen. Joel Silver, we're coming for you.
The
You
clock
don't
is
make
ticking.
art, you acquire art. He says he acquires art, he doesn't make art. Well, this time you have to give up your art. Just like Goering in World War II. It's time to have that collection reclaimed. You don't deserve anything you have. He
New
said,
acquisition.
yeah.
We are going to reacquire what's ours.
Yeah. In the end, you'll have your stadium scene badly done, but we'll be showing our stadium scene the way it's supposed to be done. Like you said about the emotions with the daughter with Christopher Nolan ripping it off, how he ripped it off. And it's like, wait to see how the stadium scene was supposed to be and the emotions in the stadium scene. It's not Tom Cruise, part of the ripoff, spiking a football. It's actually what's going on, beyond fantasy. It's what actually transpires that propels the story forward in those layers of feeling. All right. It also explains why there's a monitor room and why that monitor room is important, and what the agents are seeing is why they clue with the Oracle's in trouble, and what happens to the Oracle really. She's not at the end making some transparent, tepid deal with an architect for a ceasefire. She's not baking cookies or sitting down with that little girl she has no relationship really with. The Oracle is a guy, and he dies at the stadium. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and also,
Mind
yeah.
blowing.
Well, that's one more
Just,
thing, Stephen. One more thing.
just, yeah.
One more thing. How does the Oracle die? The Oracle dies. They remember how they ripped off everything and used it up and used the story up. They said even Joel Silver that used the rest of the story. Remember the hand thing where Neo goes like this and the machine falls down?
Yeah.
That's what's in the original story at the stadium. At the original story at the stadium, the Christ double, the architect's double, remember the double figures, comes up to the Oracle, and Trinity sees it on the monitors. Neo sees it happen on the monitors. That's why they freak out. He puts up his hand, pulses, and stops the Oracle's heart. And he goes down. So they put it with Neo facing off with a machine. If Neo could do that, just do that throughout the movie. Goodness gracious.
Exactly. Not make it look like it zaps
if,
all his energy out.
If Neo can fly in the beginning. If you got unstoppable powers where you just go like this to them and just do that in the beginning. Show's over. It could be a minute-long Matrix.
You know what they don't show?
Hmm.
When Neo jacks into the Matrix, where does he go? Does he end up in the sky because he can fly all the time?
And you know that in ours,
never addressed.
In ours, you have to take the red pill in order to enter their Matrix story, right? That program. But again, the blue pill is the bootleg pill that when he's cut from the program, he's able to re-enter the Matrix story, city and everything with the blue pill.
With his identity intact.
Yeah, that's why the blue pill's needed. And theirs is just Alice in Wonderland. But that's what's so important is, and then he needs to have the memories of Smith in order to find the dome. But they bloody it up and overdo it with his bandage and bloody eyes and holding Trinity's hand. In ours, Trinity does help Neo re-enter using the memories of Smith, and he knows where to go using the memories of Smith, which is Sense 8. That's why they couldn't wait to rip that off. With Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow both at Netflix to help him do it and give him $1 million without writing anything down to be there right after they stole it and threw our case.
Oh yeah, I think we hammered out the details of Kate Chilton and Rankin. So they were classmates and they colluded on throwing your case.
Linda Burrow, yeah.
Linda Burrow and
Kate Chilton picked Linda Burrow and Rankin, who were both classmates. And Linda Burrow was TMZ's attorney. And so they pick her to be Warner Brothers' attorney also, because Warner Brothers owned TMZ.
Okay.
So they brought her in sideways, and she was Rankin's classmate. And keep in mind this, you just brought something up. Keep in mind that the first meeting that Linda Burrow and Rankin have is at Disney World or Disneyland. That's the first meeting they have. And Rankin comes back with a whole new staff from Kate Chilton after that trip on a weekend when he's unlicensed to practice law in California, claiming he had 2 big cases in California. You're unlicensed to practice law. It says right there. How come you're at Disney World, first of all? How come you said you ran into Linda Burrow at Disney World? How come you said that, oh, yeah, by the way, she's going to be handling the case when we haven't filed a case at that point? How would she know she's going to handle a case that doesn't exist yet?
She was anticipating it. That's why. Yeah, somebody else told her that it's going to happen.
Right. And what's she doing at Disney World, riding the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean? What's she doing there? How are they just running into each other at Disney World? Rankin's taking a trip there on a weekend, and he's not licensed to practice law in California, ending up at Disneyland and running into her. And you know why? Because Mike Lang and Michael Eisner were at the meeting with Linda Burrow and Rankin and Chilton to make sure it was all ironed out how to proceed and send him back with a new staff on that weekend. Is that unbelievable? While remodeling his office. He gets rid of his partner. Incredible. We've got them. They're so stupid. So, Kate Chilton, you are dumb as bricks. And I can't wait to take you on when we get due process. I cannot wait to take Kate Chilton on and Linda Burrow and Joel Silver when we have due process. And Michael Eisner, let's see what your brain functions like. All right. Thanks, Stephen. It's great.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. This is as always. You are welcome here,
Thank you.
and we are always discovering new details on this deception that the industry has thrown upon us. But we're getting through all the murky bits. We're discovering new things each time here.
All the time. Shout out to those that are doing research. Shout out to you, too, Stephen, for what you did finding Linda Burrows was indeed at Netflix, along with Kate Chilton at Netflix. Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all working towards helping get you the recognition you deserve.
We can't lose. I'm going to say that.
The crater thing is mind blowing.
Isn't that something?
The crater that goes and then resets the matrix.
Wait till the jury hears the actual words. And one of the things in copyright law, besides that inverse ratio rule, if you show direct access, you cannot have better access than the defendants having all your work in discovery, having depositions with you where they hear all your ideas and thoughts on it, and having your screenplays. You can't have better access than having a court order to be given to them. Perfect access. The inverse ratio rule sure applies. So when Kate Chilton and Linda Burrow went to Netflix to have them steal with Alter Carbon, Oblivion with Disney coming in at that point was stupid, and then Sense8 and Elysium, dumbest move in the world. And forget latches and statutes, because PTSD has no time limit. Because I'm not able to argue my case. And that's why the rule is there in district court also, that there is no time limit for somebody who has that condition. Bye-bye. Yeah, we'll see you soon. All right, thanks, Stephen.
All right, yeah. And thank you too, Tom, and to everyone else watching here. I know some of you are going to be watching later, and thank you. This was a little delayed, being a week later than our usual setup, but we still made it this month. And we'll try to do the first week of January. Let's see what day that is. We'll talk about this later. It's like the 2nd.
Sounds good.
Or the 6th. The 6th or the 13th of January. It'll be one of those 2 days.
All right.
But yeah, I'll let you go, Tom. And until the next one, class dismissed.
All right. See you later.